Hey guys, Joe here, joined this morning by Cam Rogers, host of Lock It In. Cam, how's the day treating you so far?
What's going on, Joe? Good to be with you. It's been fun so far today, doing a little bit of a media circuit, talking about the US Open, and there is a lot to talk about, not necessarily about the play on the golf course per se, but it's been fun.
Things are going crazy in the golf world right now, Cam. What are your takes on everything here?
Yeah, there's a lot to sort of parse through, and I think the best two words I can describe it is surreal and also just, I guess this is more than one word, hard to imagine. Also fascinating. Really, this is just so interesting what we're dealing with right now. And as we talked about before we went live, there's this divide on tour right now where you have guys who are preferring legacy and morals over other guys who are going for the paychecks, the money, and cashing out, right? And I am in no position to finger wag either way. I understand both sides of it. I find it interesting that you have golf media out there finger wagging Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson for going out and cashing out and basically being set for the rest of their lives when honestly, I don't think any of them have been in a position where $200 million is right in front of you, right? And you had to decide, am I going to do this or not? And so I'm sort of looking at it from a 36,000 foot view. And again, I understand somebody like Phil Mickelson, who's lost $40 million in gambling to go ahead and cash out. But I also understand that Justin Thomas wants to remain and Rory McIlroy wants to play with the best of the best on the PGA Tour. And they could also stop playing golf now and be set for life, too. So there's that to sort of factor in. So it's all very interesting. I think it's just really surreal to cover right now. And we'll see what happens going forward. But the PGA Tour has a task ahead of itself in terms of improving itself and bringing in more fans and what have you, because this Live Golf Tour I think is pretty legit as far as cherry picking away some of these players. And so the PGA Tour has to go on the offensive and decide, okay, what are we going to do to improve?
Now, I've heard people talk about how, with everything going on with the Live, it will improve the PGA and it will get rid of the sort of old boys club. Do you think
Hmm.
that?
Yeah, I hope so. Honestly, there are so many avenues that I think the PGA Tour can go as far as improvement is concerned. Number one, make the broadcast more exciting. Get younger. I'll do my audition with you right now. Come on and bring me on to Golf Channel or what have you. Bring
Pam,
in
you need
younger
to be
fans.
there. You need to be there. I'm the first one to
Exactly.
vote you in.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, remember the Manning style cast that we had
Yeah.
during the PGA Championship? That was a lot of fun. Let's do more of that. Let's do more betting casts as well. So a simulcast strictly about betting throughout a particular tournament. Let's mic these players up. That would be fun.
That would
I
be
actually
so
go
fun.
back to, yeah, the matches, with Tiger and Phil and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. All these guys are mic'd up. You have Charles Barkley throwing shots at them. I mean, that's fun, right? So I think the PGA Tour can do some more of that. And what happens is more fans come to watch, right? More ad revenue, better TV packages, bigger purses for the PGA Tour events, which means more money in the pockets for these players. So there's a chain reaction effect here. And so hopefully, again, Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, looks at himself in the mirror and says, what can I do now so that I lose less golfers to this Live Golf Tour? Because this is a real threat.
Yep. It absolutely is. And I love your take on it, how to bring in the younger vibe, because I really do think that is needed. Got to bring in that younger crowd because at the end of the day, it really needs that. Don't you
Mm-hmm.
think? Don't you think we need that breath of fresh air in golf?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you talked about the old boys club, 100%. Like sometimes it can just get boring and vanilla. A lot of these golfers out here are quite frankly boring. And so, how can we add some spice and some fun to it? Bringing in some personalities in terms of the broadcast and maybe changing up the formats a little bit here and there. The USGA, of course, is head of the US Open. They are very much a part of the grow the game sort of philosophy, and they seem to be sort of moving at a snail's pace too in terms of improving the game. So, I think the Live Golf Tour is going to light a fire under these folks' butts, if you will, to sort of get going here as far as, legislation is concerned and changing things up and what have you. And youth is number one. I think access to the game of golf is harder than ever, really. I mean, you have inflation and what have you, and all these prices, and golf is expensive. Like, let's think about it. I
Absolutely.
mean, buying these clubs are expensive. We got to find ways to bring in more fans. And there are, like I mentioned, so many avenues: the broadcast, sports betting, you know, discounts on golf clubs, whatever it is. Because again, this Live Golf Tour is going to be here to stay at least for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make up these caddies too. That would be quite interesting to see. I think the mics on the players definitely would be a great way to take this. Let's talk about the US Open Championships kicking off here. Looking ahead at this, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting test. The country club back for the first time since 1988. I'm about 45 minutes away from Boston right now. I'm in Plymouth, Massachusetts. I know people who are on the grounds as we speak. The course is in mint condition from what I understand. It's going to be quite an interesting test in the sense that, the past few US Opens, they've been big ballparks. And that's why we have like these power hitters who are winning, Bryson DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, etc. I think this week we could see really a mixture of different type of golfers in terms of the leaderboard this week. So, the short game artists, I think, can really have success here at the country club. It's only 7,200 yards. It's a par 70, but it's going to have a lot of uneven lies, blind approach shots, some odd angles out there. So somebody like a Jordan Spieth, Daniel Berger, Sungjae Im, these guys aren't power hitters per se, but they're artists, right? And so that's going to be required here this week at the country club. So it's going to be a different test than what we've seen in years past.
Yeah, they always make these courses so tricky for these players. How do you think Jon Rahm is going to do, the defending champion?
I think he's going to play well. He's fourth on tour in strokes gained tee to green. I think the around the green game is improving as well. Like you mentioned, a winner last year at Torrey Pines. He was T10 at the Memorial not too long ago. And so for Jon Rahm, he loves difficult conditions. He hates birdie fest. If somebody's winning 19 under par, he gets mad about it, right? This is his bread and butter, the small greens, difficult course conditions. I don't think there's going to be any wind per se this week. So I don't think this is going to be like a 2 over par winning score, but this is still going to be a difficult test. And Jon Rahm relishes in those conditions. He's number 4 in terms of my power rankings this week. So I like him a lot.
Okay, who do you have in your top 10 here, Cam?
Yeah, I've got Xander Schauffele at number 1. Might as well just tell you, I'm picking him to win, obviously, this week. 5 top 10s and 5 U.S. Open appearances. Only Bobby Jones could say he has a longer streak at U.S. Open. 7th on tour, tee to green. Love him. Mentioned Sungjae Im at number 2. Balance game that you want here this week. Will Zalatoris at 3. Runner-up at the PGA Championship and at the Masters back in 2021. Tee to green game is the elite. Really good player. Low key long off the tee as well. He's a wiry guy, but he can poke it out there. Jon Rahm at number 4, Tony Finau at number 5, and he's starting to find his stride. Runner up last week at the RBC Canadian Open. Rory McIlroy at 6. He won last week at the Canadian Open, and he's somebody who doesn't take a step back after he wins. Like, he keeps going, right? So McIlroy there at number 6. Jordan Spieth talked about artistry and magic around these greens. Jordan Spieth can bring that. He's there at number 7. Daniel Berger at number 8. Really good approach game player. 2 top 10s at the U.S. Open in his last 4 appearances. Matt Fitzpatrick won at this golf course at the 2013 U.S. Amateur. So he has some good memories here. He's there at number 9. And keep an eye on this guy for future major championships at 10. Joaquin Niemann. He loves difficult tracks. Played well at Muirfield Village at the Memorial. Won at Riviera back in February in Los Angeles. Those are really difficult tracks. Really good ball striker too. So that's my top 10. So some notable guys that aren't there: Bryson, Brooks, Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, not there.
Yeah, I expected to hear some of those names in there. Any sleepers that you're looking at value-wise to hit that top 20?
Yeah, I love some top 20s here this week. Let's talk about one of the villains, I guess, on the PGA Tour these days. Patrick Reed headed on over to the Live Golf Tour, actually, after this U.S. Open, but hasn't finished worse than 31st in his last 5 U.S. Opens. He's a grinder. He's got a great set of hands, really good around these greens. So I think Patrick Reed for top 20 makes some sense, along with Brian Harman, top 25 in strokes gained total in this field over the last 24 rounds. He was 19th at the U.S. Open last year, runner-up in 2017, and this should be a better course for him, shorter, right? He's not a long hitter, so he should be able to grind his way around here. And then Webb Simpson as well, top 20 at the PGA Championship. He won the U.S. Open back in 2012 at Olympic, and he's got a pretty decent U.S. Open resume in general. 8th in 2020, 16th in 2019, 10th in 2018. So Webb Simpson, steady player there for a top 20.
Now, Cam, I have to ask you, do you think we'll see any fireworks for players like Patrick Reed who will be going over to the Live after this?
Yeah, in terms of fans heckling and what have you.
Fans, other contestants. What do you think we're going to see?
Yeah, so obviously there are probably some awkward interactions in the locker room right now
Yeah.
amongst the live golfers and the PGA Tour golfers. I can't imagine. I kind of wish I was a fly on the wall of Patrick Reed interacting with Rory McIlroy,
Yeah.
for instance. They're probably not talking, honestly. But to your point, I think the fans are really going to relish Phil Mickelson this week. Like, they're going to love him. I hear and I'm watching videos of him, thumbing up all over the place. He's talking to the fans. People love Phil. Right. And so I'll also make an important distinction. Golf Twitter is not reality, right? Reality is all these fans are happy to see Phil for the first time in a long time. But somebody like Bryson DeChambeau and Patrick Reed would not be surprised to see some hecklers out there, because Bryson, it's kind of easy to get under his skin. And Patrick Reed, well, nobody really likes him. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Is there one player out there that really does lose it with the fans when they do heckle them? Off the top of your head?
I think of Sergio Garcia at Bethpage Black, I think in 2009 at the US Open, when the New York fans were pretty tough on him. He had this waggle going consistently and he could never swing on time. And so fans were heckling him about that. Now Sergio's on the Live Tour, so he could get some stuff from fans here this week in terms of negative attention, if you will. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, so I think Sergio, Tyrrell Hatton, not a lot of people know him, but he can get easily frustrated out there. That could happen this week at the US Open. So yeah, we'll see.
It's going to be an interesting US Open for sure, and an interesting couple years, honestly, in golf with everything happening. Cam, I want to thank you so much for joining me here. What is happening this week on Lock It In?
Yeah, a lot going on. My US Open preview is up right now, so certainly check that out for my best bets. And continuing on with my media circuit here this week, follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. You can track all of my content.
Awesome. Cam, thank you so much for joining me here. You guys, make sure you go over and give him a follow. You don't want to miss out on all the excellent products he's putting out. Thanks, Cam.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.